Mr. President, now is the time that we should be investing in the future of our country and helping American families get ahead. But what we've got in front of us this week does the opposite. It's a bad deal that puts America in retreat at home and abroad. It makes our country poorer and less safe. When I reviewed what we're about to vote on, I thought about my granddaughter, Sage. She's 4 years old. And like a lot of kids her age, she watches one of the many educational programs that air on PBS. Her favorite is Daniel Tiger, a show that teaches kids everything, others with kindness, to brushing their teeth with Daniel's friend, Jody Platypus. These are lessons every child should grow up learning, no matter where they live or how much money their parents make. But what's in front of us today is a proposal to totally decimate the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which supports local PBS and public radio stations. Mr. President, I don't get this. These are the stations that air children's educational programs like Daniel Tiger and Sesame Street, which help kids learn how to count and how to read and how to spell. And in an era where cable is getting more expensive and monthly subscriptions, they just add up. Free educational programming like this is so important. It's how parents in Arizona and all across the country give their children a head start, regardless of their zip code or their income. And if anyone thinks this is just about cartoons, then they haven't spent enough time in rural America. In Arizona, my office is hearing from rural and tribal leaders about how essential public TV and radio is in their communities. These are areas where broadband is still limited and cell phone service can drop out for miles. In those places, public radio is often the only daily and sometimes even weekly news source. And it's certainly the most reliable way to receive emergency alerts. During wildfire season, which is raging right now in Arizona, those alerts can mean the difference between safety and tragedy. Public radio also delivers severe weather warnings, road closures, and critical public health information. These cuts will lead to rural public radio stations laying off staff, reducing programming, or even shutting down entirely. Rural public radio stations are twice as dependent on federal funding as non-rural stations are. There are dozens of stations that rely on the Corporation for Public Broadcasting for more than half of their funding. Three of them, Mr. President, three of them are in Arizona, and they are all on tribal land. KNNB in White River, KGHR on the Navajo Nation, and KUYI on the Hopi Nation. Why on earth would Washington take that away? And while this proposal rips investments out of rural America, it also makes us all less safe. It's the right thing to do. It's also strategic. USAID and our international partners are often the first line of defense against pandemics, wars, and starvation. You can't put a price on that goodwill and the stability that these programs create for America. The conflicts and humanitarian disasters and the refugee crises it prevents. Now, I saw that myself when I was a young midshipman at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy during my second year at sea. It was a voyage through the Red Sea, off to the coast of Egypt, and I was carrying a load of grain on a 1,000-foot-long ship. These were taking crops grown by American farmers in the United States of America to feed starving children in North Africa. Cutting this off doesn't just lead to starvation and disease and suffering. It also creates instability, a vacuum that gets filled by terrorist groups and warlords, a gap for China or Russia to take advantage of. One way or another, we're going to end up having to pay for it, and tomorrow's price will be higher. In the meantime, America is weaker, and we're less safe. Mr. President, this is not a serious plan for deficit reduction. What it really says is this: if you live in a rural area, your access to public safety information doesn't matter. If you're a child whose family can't afford streaming services or reliable internet, your education doesn't matter. And if you're someone who wants a safer, more stable world, you're out of luck. I don't accept that. Arizona doesn't accept that. We should be building a country where, no matter where you live, what you earn, or how connected your zip code is, you can get the information and support you need to stay healthy and informed. All of us, Republicans and Democrats, should be able to work together on that. I urge my colleagues to think about what's really at stake here, what's at stake for families, and what's at stake for our leadership in the world. And please vote no, because this isn't how we move forward. This is how we fall behind. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Mississippi.